I'm Lachlan, and I have quadriplegic cerebral palsy. Here in South Africa, we have a pattern that repeats itself so often that at this point you could almost set your calendar by it. What happens is that our government creates a problem, ignores the consequences of that problem, and then when the citizens finally get fed up and start to deal with the problem on their own, the government gets angry and threatens to arrest everyone. Right now, there is an ongoing judicial commission of inquiry into the corruption of the South African police service by criminal syndicates. And in recent months, both the Minister of Police and the National Police Commissioner have been suspended due to improper activities. As an ordinary South African, I have the unfortunate duty of telling you that if you ever require help from the police, you can expect two things. If you report a crime to the South African Police Service, you can expect that they will be the last people on the scene to help you, and you can expect that you have as much chance of being abused by police as you have of being helped by them. These things are true, and I speak from personal experience in this regard. And this attitude of the government creating problems and then getting angry when people try to solve them extends right across South African society. Right now, there are looming tensions between native South African blacks and black foreign nationals from elsewhere in Africa because for many years the African National Congress has pursued a globalist open border policy of what it calls African unity at the expense of South African locals. And those chickens, as they say, are now coming home to roost because the pressure of the influx of foreign nationals, both in terms of the increased crime rates and competition for employment, is causing severe conflict between locals and foreigners. Instead of decisively dealing with these issues, like, for example, getting rid of illegals, our government has repeatedly threatened native born South Africans with arrest and imprisonment should they take the law into their own hands. Now, let me be very clear about this. In an ordinary society, no citizen should feel compelled to take the law into his or her own hands. But the reality is that South Africa is far from an ordinary society. The situation we live in is that our political elites live in ivory towers and in great comfort, while the rest of us are left simply to struggle and get by with whatever we have. I'll give you another example. For over a decade now, the government has been steadily trying to make it more and more difficult for ordinary citizens to own and use firearms. And they have tightened up the laws regarding self defense and what qualifies as a justified shooting. This would be fine if South Africa were a peaceful country, but it is not. South Africa is one of the most dangerous places in the world, and as I've already pointed out, our police service is functionally useless and, in many cases, just as corrupt as any other criminal. And so, South African citizens are essentially forced to look to our own safety. And what makes it even more infuriating that our government seeks to disarm the population is that all of them travel with retinues of armed guards. I'm not just talking one or two. Politicians in South Africa travel in motorcades with heavily armed security, paid for by the taxpayer, and yet they tell us that we don't have the right to defend ourselves should we be attacked in our own homes or at our own businesses. And it's very much the same as the situation with foreign nationals. What you'll hear a lot these days is that South Africans are xenophobic and hateful. But that's not the case. South Africans, particularly black South Africans, already have a difficult time in their lives because of poor governance by the ANC. And now, thanks once again to the ANC, foreign nationals are essentially just walking across the border and taking whatever they can find, which should rightfully belong to native born South Africans. What I'm trying to tell you is that South Africa is a pot, and that pot is getting ready to boil over. Something very bad is going to happen here. I don't know what, I don't know when, but people are going to die.